The budget hearings have been emailed to everybody. Hopefully, John, you may have that in just your packet. So next Wednesday, 4:30, will be our first one. Next Thursday, 4:30. We're up to 2 more, continuing on. Monday the 9th and Tuesday or Thursday the 12th. I will be at the Puglisi Conference Room at 4:30. Really, I know that you're going to be gone next Thursday. Am I correct on that? We have planning and engineering those days. We kind of tried to make sure that there wasn't anything you were in charge of the committee on, anything you couldn't be there. And I'll go over that stuff with you at a separate time.
So all of our 4:30 then?
Yes. So, Dave, anything else, Tim, on the schedule for the hearings? Any questions from the council?
We'd be happy to answer the questions. I think that you all have the new schedule. It lists the which departments will be presenting on those dates that are indicated. It's all 30, and yeah, we want to be hit the ground running right after the election and see where we are with that and what direction we need to go with the budget. So I don't know, Dave, if you had any additional thoughts on or council, any questions that you might have?
Pretty much. I mean, just to recap, next week we're just going to be talking to the department heads about their operating budget, personnel costs, and their capital needs for the next 5 years. We've passed the schedule out. The department heads are all aware, and they're making arrangements to come and present. And right now we're working on updating our capital plan. Hopefully to have it ready at the end of this week.
Thank you. And also, everybody should have the updated meeting schedule, which also includes our next 2 finance meetings, the 10th and 17th. And then we hope to have a drafted budget to us by Friday the 4th to start reviewing, and a final budget a week later on December 11th. And we will have a meeting on December 15th to go over the budget, answer any questions. We will sunshine the legislation and pass on an emergency basis on December 22nd. Budget will take effect in whatever manner it's in, January 1, 2016. Any comments on the schedule?
Greg would just reiterate and just jump in, cut to the chase. Yeah, we're anticipating requesting the council pass the budget on Tuesday, December 22nd as an emergency. If there is concerns with that, I would recommend we discuss it. And but otherwise, that's would be the way to get the most accurate budget. Get it to council. We'll have, as you can see, numerous hearings, and I'm hopeful that by the 22nd it'll be in form, ready for council's action then.
Right. Members of council? All right, that's our schedule. Next thing, before we go, I know you have a couple things you wanted to talk to us about, Tim, but before we go in, you had a question on ordinance 2015-101.
Right, amending the chapter 191. If you could just maybe explain why we're doing this. Either I missed that meeting or I wasn't paying attention.
Yeah.
I think Gary addressed it.
That's part of that new Senate bill that passed in regards to the new tax legislation for municipalities. So we're required to pass this new tax code and have it in effect on January 1st of 2016. So for the last 3 months, my office and Dave, we've been talking to Rita, and we've been sending sending it back and forth, and I think we have it done now in its final form, which will be attached there on the third reading. So we'll be all set with that.
Hey, Gary, is it accurate that I would think most communities are doing the same
Well,
thing?
yeah, every community has to pass their model tax code, the state's model tax code, and then each community, there's maybe 7 or 8 different sections that we've adopted to what we have. You know, like we don't, I believe, Dave, can you explain a few things like subchapter S corporations, we don't, how do we tax them?
Continue the way we had it before. Everything should stay roughly the same. We had to like spell out a little differently, we don't tax individuals under age 18.
Okay, there's one of the things, because some communities tax individuals under 18, we don't. So there's certain things that we had to go through, take out, and then talk to Rita about to make sure it's in conformity with our code. So that was mandated by that also.
There's no major changes to it? Like
No.
Non-resident, resident, not tax one or the other?
No.
Pretty much the same, just a different format.
Those are still options that we can still actually utilize, because I know at a few meetings you voiced concern about tax credits for people out of town as opposed to people living in town. So those are areas that we still have control over in the future that we can change.
Thank you very much.
Any other questions on this particular piece of legislation?
Can I ask a question on ordinance number 2015-106?
106, that's the moving $622,819 from the water reserve fund to the water fund. That was projected that we were going to end up doing that this year to balance that fund out.
The DMC, part of the DMC lawsuit?
That's the money that came from that lawsuit.
Excuse me, because I didn't hear either, I didn't hear.
Yes, that was money that we had from the BLZ lawsuit, and this was part of, Dave had presented that to us earlier this year, that to balance that particular fund, that money would be transferred from the water reserve fund to the water fund.
That's the money from the DLZ.
Yes.
That is that settlement is how we created the water reserve fund. Dave, did you want to expand on more specifically for council the reasons for the transfer?
But the transfer was actually placed in the budget, passed with the budget last November, December for this year. We foreseen a shortfall in our operating fund. And the decision was to kind of wait and see what kind of additional revenues we got from the new meter program. We're seeing some, but we're not quite seeing enough at this point. Those meters have been installed all throughout the year, so probably won't see the full effect until probably next year. But that money's needed to kind of stabilize that fund. It does put a little bit into the black, which is good, but it's going to put a little bit above zero, which we need to be. We need to have something in that fund. We did add an amount to, it was going to be 500 and some thousand, and we added roughly $46,000 to that transfer in order to cover some emergency valves that had to be placed at work both the West End system.
Yeah, the meter that we're seeing with the water fund, it's been positive for 4 months in a row, which is the first time it's been positive for 4 months in a row in recent history. But I think at this point, we're still not, I would say, not out of the woods yet. We need to see the full impact of the meters. I would hope that this might be the last transfer of its kind, Dave, but that's our goal. But we'll see.
All right. Any other questions from council on any legislation? If not, I'm going to move over to Tim. You had a couple things to go over about our insurance.
I did. One quick thing I would add, just before we do that, is our capital improvements plan. That will be, the directors are completing that this week. We should be able to share that with council next week during the hearings. That's our goal. And it'll have all the major projects that we've discussed. But I do want to be very clear that, you know, many of those major projects will be listed under unfunded. I mean, it doesn't mean we're not planning to do them, but I think the downtown streetscape would be a good example. However, we have not identified a funding source for that improvement as of yet. So that is how I anticipate that we will present those major projects, and some of the ones that we have not, the Civic Plaza, other projects like that. They're just not funded. No funding source has been identified, so we will continue to show those, but until we have a grant or some type of additional source of funds, then that use of funds will remain in an unfunded capital. I can answer any questions. I did want to, at this time, a final budget item that I would bring to council's attention this evening is in preparation for the operating budget. We've been recently informed by our insurance provider that the Ohio Public Employee Consortium has determined that rates for health insurance renewal are scheduled to increase significantly across the board in 2016. As a result, in working with Finance Department, we anticipate in our budgeting for rates to increase by 25% in the coming year. Ohio Insurance Services, our broker, has informed us that greater than expected claims among our 160-member insurance plan consortium, which covers about 3,200 employees, were unexpectedly higher during the last half of 2015, resulting in a potential deficit for our group. In general, as I believe council is very much aware, healthcare costs continue to spiral upward for most entities, certainly including local government. In response, though, I believe it is important for the city to take steps at this time to potentially mitigate future cost increases. Accordingly, and as I've mentioned in the past, I would ask for council's continued support for the administration to offer an employee opt-out program, if at all possible, in 2016. If we can structure this program per the requirements of the Affordable Care Act, we have good participation, then this would be our most effective option for limiting costs. The administration has discussed this with our collective bargaining attorney, Clemens Nelson, and with Ohio Insurance Services, and we have outlined the basic structure of the program. As I think council is aware, it would basically allow us to offer employees a portion of their premium in exchange for them being covered by another plan. This would save the city the total premium to cover that employee. The employee would have to confirm that they have insurance coverage from another source in order to opt out of our plan. That's consistent with the, I believe, with the Affordable Care Act. If we have sufficient time this year before the end of the year, we would like to move forward administratively. However, if legislation is needed, I would anticipate asking that council pass the appropriate legislation. At this point in time, such legislation, it's my understanding, could take the form of council action on the back end. In other words, to approve the final employee opt-out payments if such participation rates offer us significant savings and those savings are realized. So it would be something, and I'm hopeful that we don't have to do it at this point in time, but could go ahead, offer it, work with our cost containment committee, and then see how, what type of participation we get, and then come to council for your approval. And it's purely at that point an economic decision. Either we save enough to cover the opt-out portion, or we don't. So I anticipate we'll continue to discuss these issues as part of the budget process. Meanwhile, the administration will continue to move forward accordingly at this time. Be happy to answer your questions.
I'm all for an opt-out program. Has any analysis been done whether we're better off if we go back to self-insured? I mean, the program went up.
Yeah, I guess I would just say that we continue to consider self-insured. I think at this point in time, we need our renewals due November 30th. I'm not saying we would not go back to a self-insured plan, but I don't anticipate us doing that in 2016. Sure.
And we have, as part of that pool, there's penalties for withdrawing before the 3 years is up too. So we would have to be, we'd have to take a look at what we would think our cost would be in going back to the self-insurance plan and weigh them against the penalties. And we've talked to our pool insurer. We have some discussions to get some preliminary numbers from them right now. So those are things that we'll be looking at for the next 3 or 4 months.
Our former broker or past broker with self-insurance, I think you might remember, used to be with Health America. That they don't provide that anymore. He's not with Health America, or they. I don't think they
And
provide
bought
that.
out Health. Health America's now Aetna.
Right, and it switched to Aetna, and that's where we are at.
Our health insurance this year is greater than last year, correct?
In 2015, yeah.
Substantially, substantially.
25%.
$300,000 or something like that. And then if we're going to go 25% increase, I think we go about 1.6 million in our health insurance. 25%, 400,000.
Yeah, looking at the numbers, I think we would be at about 1.86 right now. We'd probably be, before any opt-outs, we'd be at about 2.3.
So 2.3 compared to what we did last year,
86.
When we were self-insured, we were 1.86?
He's talking about 24.
1.84.
1.6.
1.84. I believe it was like 1.84.
I think we should.
Well, 2014, we had a really good year, so to say. Claims was really low. It was right on 94.
Is there any way to tell this year what we would have been, have we been self-insured compared to what we were being in a plan?
No, because they said they can't provide, our brokers say they cannot provide that information to us, because we did ask that.
And it's hard, I suppose, Mike, to compare, 2014 with what it'll be in 2016. It's a bit different. You could.
I just throw it out there, something to consider, a lot of money.
Yeah.
It is.
If I can answer you too, we were upset because we have asked on numerous occasions that we'd like to see our losses, or what we've done since we've been with them, and they were telling us that they can't give it to us, which I find is very hard to believe.
That's hard to believe.
Yeah, and we're upset about it. But I'll leave it at that. And behind the scenes, we've been calling them, and we have some other
I
things.
don't know if we're taking that for an answer.
Yeah.
I mean, they know, if they know we're in a loss, if they got a loss, they got to raise our premium, they know how much each city is costing. So they could give us that, and if they aren't giving it to us, I can only assume it's because our losses aren't that great. It's the other cities in the group. Because if they went the other way, and I'm them, I'm pointing it out to you, look here, your losses are unbelievable, guys. You guys are better off staying with me. So, anyway, just something food for thought.
We will continue to provide council with information on the opt-outs. Gary has worked, and Dave, with Clemens Nelson very closely. As long as we stay consistent with the Affordable Care Act, we should be in good shape.
And you're basically going to talk in the budget that we're going to be saying 2.3 million for hospitalization. That's what's going to be in
Before any opt-out, yeah.
for any opt-out, which is hear questions or comments on the hospitalization.
No questions, however, a comment to follow up on Mr. Johnson. Self-insured is an avenue that we should explore. We understand opting out of the consortium may cost us some dollars. That also has to be analyzed. But like Mr. Johnson, if you can recall, back in 2013 is when we had that significant carryover because of being self-insured. We ended up carrying over $1.9 million in our budget into 14, and that was due to largely because of self-insured, the hospitalization, and of course our employees participating more in their pay towards the hospitalization. But I was a firm believer then. I know at that point in time you were a little skeptical of self-insured, as you said, rolling the dice, sort of speaking. And it's a risk, but it's one that has proven because of our claims beneficial to the city. So I think we should explore those avenues of self-insured.
I agree. I think we should too. Kenny?
Good.
You're okay with looking at self-insured if that's
Well,
possible in the future?
I want to be clear, we are getting to the
I
end
know
of the
you're
year.
not going out to bid for.
Not this year,
Yeah.
for the
But for the fall.
Absolutely. Okay.
When you go out for
Agree
bid,
100%.
all options are on the table.
I just don't want to lead council to any conclusions that
No, I understand. Dave, anything else you have on the finance?
I think we would like, looking at the calendar of Finance Committee on the 10th.
Yeah, that is on our schedule. We have a
And
schedule.
if at all possible, I know it's a little bit of a digression, but Utility Committee, we probably would want to do the next week.
Okay, now you have finance on there, so you want to switch to finance, keep finance on the 10th. And then,
Maybe we need to try to determine whether we need a Finance Committee on the 17th.
can I reverse it? I'd rather do a finance committee meeting after we complete all budget hearings. So if we do the finance meeting on the 17th, and if you want utilities, let's do it on the 10th.
You got a guy coming to speak on aggregation
Oh, okay.
on the 17th.
All right, then we will.
Yeah, we couldn't get it any earlier.
Okay. Well, we may even hold a finance committee meeting. We'll see how we get through the budget hearings, and then we'll go from there. But at least you know we'll do utilities on the 17th.
All right.
What time is that gentleman coming in?
I think we asked him to be here at 6, but whenever you, 6:30, whenever you want to start.
We'll do 6 o'clock, and then if we get done,
Okay.
we can announce it as a joint. We do finance and, finance and utilities, go from utilities to finance. If we have questions that the council needs to address based off the budget hearing, we can do it that night as well, so.
What date is this now?
17th,
And the time is?
6 o'clock utilities. And I'll announce it again during the regular meeting, so it gets on record.
And then the one on the 10th, what time will that be? Finance on?
No, we're not having
Oh, I'm
any
sorry, that's all.
committee meetings, so or budget hearings that day. We'll do 6:30 for that.
I don't know if you wanted to deal with the contract with Ford.
I'll do that during the regular meeting. Because it's there, folks, the regular meeting time
Yeah.
is 7:26. Now you're up to the 2 minutes.
2 minutes.
I mean, there's no further business. Finance meeting, I'll move that we adjourn.
Second.
Very good.